Hey YouTube, this is Bernie with Dry Creek Homestead. Glad y'all could join me tonight. So I am filming from my crazy messy shop tonight because it's too dark to film outside. And anyway, so tonight I want to talk about inflation and the impact that it has on your homestead, because it does affect everything, and I think especially a homestead. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and things you can do to help fight inflation. So, uh, give you an example of inflation, and if you have animals, feed costs have gone up tremendously. So, uh, we are very fortunate. We raise our own meat. We have pigs, cows, and we raise meat chickens. Now we buy the chickens every year from a hatchery, and we normally raise the Cornish crosses because they grow off fast. In fact, we're actually butchering tomorrow, so we've got 20. Well, we butchered, I think, 4 or 5 already, and we've got 20 more that we'll do tomorrow. So they give us 25 chickens, and 4 pounds a bird. That's about 100 pounds of chicken for our family. Now, it won't last us the entire year, so we'll have to do another set. But we're so late in the year right now that we can order chicks again and have them for April or May, and we'll be all right. And that's kind of how we'll do that. So we have chicken the whole year, but we also raise pigs, and so we've got 3 red wattle pigs out there right now that we're raising for meat. And so, actually, not all 3 of them are ours. We're gonna give one to my in-laws so that they can have some meat. So, and then we raise beef cattle. We have a bunch of beef cows on 300 acres. So we always have a calf slaughter. We don't slaughter a calf or the pigs ourselves. We take them somewhere and have them done. And so, but feeding those animals has gone up tremendously. So uh, last year, for cubes for the cows, so we don't have horses, so the way I get them up in a pen, if I need them up in a corral, is I shake a feed bucket, and that's feed that we buy from our local feed store. So last year, that feed was $8.25 for a 50-pound sack of cubes, cattle cubes. This year, I just bought some so I could get them up in a pen, and because there's a couple of them, we need to put some diatomaceous earth in their feed to warm them a little bit. But that feed, it was Saturday I bought the feed, and so it was $12.17. So it's almost a $4 increase on per sack on the cubes. And some people will say, well, that's $4 a sack, that's not much. But depending on how much of it you feed, now we supplement the cattle with the cubes during the winter time because our hay is typically not great quality. So we have to supplement the cubes to keep them from losing weight. And so, you figure however many sacks you use, $4 a bag. Well, just $4 a bag times 10 bags is $40. And so it just grows exponentially. If it's 100 sacks, it's $400. So, and it's not just the cubes, the pig feed that we use. So normally we don't feed a bunch of pig feed, just because we have scraps and vegetables or whatever that we can feed the pigs, and then we have them out in a tree line, clearing the tree line out for us. And I wanted to actually film that, but it was, like I said, by the time I got off work, it was dark, too dark. So, so they don't eat a bunch of feed. Now, we do feed them corn pretty much at the end, and I think last year we spent $172 per pig to feed the pigs to 250 pounds from weaning size. So, but this year, so it was $172 per pig last year. This year it's going to be, it was going to be $208. We've already bought the feed, but the feed was uh, quite a bit more this year than it was last year, and so that it's going to cost us about $40 more per pig uh, to feed them this year than it did last year. So, and the chickens, I just quit looking at. I mean, I think chick grower was like $22 a sack. So, if you want cheap chicken, you're gonna have to go to the grocery store and see if you can find it. But you know, that's one of those deals. And so this is what I want to talk about is inflation on the homestead. And so and some ways that you can combat it, because there are some ways you can combat it. You have to look at your homestead as a business and say, well, okay, I'm going to spend $40 more per pig to feed them. Am I going to get that back? Am I going to get that investment in the pigs back? This year, yes, definitely, because okay, so I went into the grocery store. We haven't bought meat at a grocery store. We haven't had to buy meat at a grocery store. It's been a few years, and so I actually looked at lunch meat here, and this was just the cheap brand of lunch meat. It was $7.50 for this, this pound thing of ham. And I was like, the sliced ham. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And it wasn't even the expensive ham. It was just the cheaper stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is nuts. But it's been, like I said, it's been probably 3-4 years since we've purchased any meat. We haven't bought beef at a store in a long, long time, 6-7 years. Because we have had cattle. We haven't had the pigs and done the chickens as long. So it's been about 3-4 years on the pigs and chickens. But I was flat amazed, on the price of those products. I was like $7 for, the cheap lunch meat ham. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It's just insane. And then, the sodas for a 12 pack of Dr. Pepper or whatever it was, it was right under $7 a 12. I mean, so everything's just gone nuts. And so you have to look at that. Am I going to get this money back on my investment? So if I spend the extra $40 per pig, am I going to get it back? And this year, definitely yes. So you're going to get that money back. So I figured, so it's about $250 is what it's going to cost us to have those pigs slaughtered at a custom facility, and they smoke and cure the ham and the bacon and all that stuff, and they grind the sausage and make the sausage for us. So, but it's about $250 per pig is what it's going to be. And so that's what they told me on the phone when I scheduled these locker dates. I've already scheduled them because they're still backed up. So so even with that, so we're looking about $450 per pig, not including a little bit of water that we're going to have to give them, and the whole time, and our labor, because we do move them around in this tree line, and I'll take a video of that and show everybody that. So we're cleaning out this tree line, so we move them, and so that doesn't include that labor. But if you're just looking at the feed and the cost of processing them, you're around $450, and so you're going to get about 118 to 120 pounds of meat back, and so that is definitely worth it. Chickens, I don't know. I haven't sat down and I haven't gone to the store to look at what chicken is in the grocery store, and I haven't sat down to. Now our chickens are free range, but we do feed them some chick grower. I say free range. We keep them in a netted in area out in a chicken tractor that's moved. But anyway, so I haven't looked to see if that's worth it, or if it's going to be like $17 a chicken. I don't know. I haven't looked at that yet. But you need to look at all this stuff and say, is it really worth it? And so, because in addition to the meat birds, we do have egg layers, and so we have some Rhode Island Reds, the Rhodies, and we have some Easter eggers, and other breeds, and so we do have egg layers too. And that feed is not as bad. I think I just bought a sack and it was like $12 for a sack of the layers mesh. And so anyway, and so we're not buying the non-GMO feed because you can't afford it. So anyway, so we are doing that, but like I said, we also feed scraps. We don't feed just the feed, and these birds all have access to green grass, and so they can rummage around. But anyway, so I'm kind of following a rabbit trail now. But you need to look at all this stuff and say, is it worth it? So, but it's not just in the feed. The feed's big, especially if you got livestock. You got to look at gasoline. Okay, so plan your trips to town. If you got only one thing you need in town, well, can you wait till you have something else that you need, or do you just need to go right then? But because gas is, well, here locally it's $3.39, and I mean you might as well say it's $3.40 a gallon. So to fill up my truck, I've got a half-ton Chevrolet pickup, and I think it was 70 something dollars last time, which is better because I once paid about $110 to fill that pickup up. And so that's the pits. And so, you have to look at all this stuff. So can you make, just one trip to town? Now for me, I have to go to work every day. And so I don't drive the truck every day. I'm driving my wife's car, because it's better on gas. But those are just things you need to look at. Well, do you even need two vehicles? And it would be, if you have a family with kids, it would be hard to get around with just one vehicle. Not impossible, but it would be hard. So but anyway, so can you just wait until you've got other things to do to make that trip to town? Not going to Starbucks and eating out all the time. Every day when I pass through town going to work, there's a McDonald's in town, and every day around lunchtime there is a line around the building, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I'm guilty of it too. I did stop in there one day, and just like two of those crappy hamburgers and some French fries and a drink was almost $10, and I was like, it's not that good. So now, if I go anywhere for lunch, I've been taking my lunch, but if I go anywhere for lunch, it wouldn't be there. So, you just gotta look at all these things. It's just, I don't know when inflation is going to start dying back down. It's probably going to be a while, though, would be my guess. And so you need to look at all these things. What can you, and even if you don't have your acre homestead or whatever you want yet, you need to look at this stuff. Even if you're living in an apartment, I did a video not too long ago on some of the skills that you need to be a homesteader. Well, this is one of those skills. What if you can't go to the store to get what you need, not because it's not there, but because the price has gotten so high you can't afford it, and so you need to look at cheaper alternatives. So anyway, so that's a little bit of what I was wanting to talk about tonight, was all this inflation. So the other thing is, plan out your menus. Eating leftovers, and we're guilty of it. My family's guilty of this too. You eat leftovers so many times and nobody wants them, or it just gets wasted. Now we don't really waste anything. If we have leftovers we don't eat, they go to the pigs or whatever, or chickens or whatever it is, or cats or dogs, and so there's a variety of things to go to. Now on the animals, you can grow your own feed a lot of the times, and so it's not the best thing or the easiest thing, but it can be done. So you just need to look at all these things and what can you do in your situation. I looked up the definition of financially stable because I was curious what the actual definition of financially stable was, because I heard somebody talking about it on the radio. But anyway, so what I found, and this is from Experian, is what I found. It says, someone's financially stable doesn't live check to check. They pay their bills on time. They have savings left over for emergencies and savings for retirement. So if you're financially stable, that's their definition of it. And so if you're not financially stable, I wouldn't suggest homesteading it, because it is expensive. I've seen all these videos how to homestead with no money. I don't know how you would do that, and realistically, you have to have some money. But there are things you can do to mitigate your costs and bring your costs down, such as growing your own feed for livestock, staying home as much as you can. That's one of the things with homesteading, so you're not spending that money on gas, and a lot of times nowadays, because of, things that have happened, insurance companies will knock down your insurance premium if you're not driving as much, if you can do that. Like I said, I have to go to work, so, I'm still driving no matter what. But anyway, so just look at all these things that you could do, because who knows when inflation is going to go down, and hopefully it doesn't turn into hyperinflation, and I guess in some things you could already say it's hyperinflated, but I think the definition of hyperinflation is anything over 50%, and they say it's like 8 or 9%, but I know good and well, things are getting screwy out there. So, but just look at these different items and different things that you can do, and just plan out your budget. That's the biggest thing. Do what the federal government hasn't been able to do in forever, is plan out a budget and stick to it and live below your means. And it's hard. It's hard nowadays, especially with the way everything's getting and the cost of everything. So, just look at those things on what you can do. And this is something you can even do even if you're not on your acre homestead. If you're living in your house, how many times a day do you have to run to the grocery store or somewhere? That's when you start planning those trips out, and that way you're only making one trip, or plan out your menu so you're only buying what you have on your menu, and not a bunch of extras. So anyway, so those are just a few tips. If you have anything you'd like to add, please put it in the comments down below, and anything helps out. Well, thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.